Bleacher Report, top 5 at each position in the NBA. So Bleacher Report just came out with a power rankings of sorts for all the top 5 positions, the top 5 players at all the 5 positions in the NBA. So point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. And I just kind of wanted to run down what I thought about this list. I have some agreements and a lot of disagreements with it. So let's start with center. So number 5, you have DeAndre Jordan of the Los Angeles Clippers. This guy's a beast. He's one of the best centers in the league. Center is kind of a dying position in this league. It's more transitioning to a power forward type deal. You don't quite see the Shaquille O'Neals, the Hakeem Olajuwons, the Wilt Chamberlains. I mean, well, those guys are amazing players, but you don't see that kind of focused on as much. So DeAndre Jordan is definitely one of the better ones. Nikola Vucevic from the Orlando Magic, which, like, really? I mean, I guess he's playing well, but it's on the Orlando Magic. They just fired their head coach. They suck. But then you have Al Horford at number 3 for the Atlanta Hawks. Not surprising that this guy gets on there. I mean, they do have the best record in the NBA right now for a reason, because the whole team is playing stellar play. So that's really good. Number 2, Marc Gasol. Solid player from Memphis Grizzlies. This guy has been showing that he can shoot, he can pass, he can play defense. He's pretty much one of the most versatile centers in the game, if not the most versatile. And if it wasn't for the guy at number 1, I would say he is the most versatile. And the guy at number 1 is DeMarcus Cousins. He was an all-star snub. I believe he made it in after someone got hurt. So thankfully, they're not actually snubbing him out of the All-Star game. But this guy is something like 4th or 5th in points scored, 4th or 5th in rebounds. He's just having a spectacular year. And, man, he played at Kentucky with John Wall. Those two guys, man, how does Kentucky do it? Like, we had a video about Kentucky, and they're just amazing talent. But they didn't win the championship that year. That's amazing. I don't know how they didn't win the championship. It's crazy. It's crazy. And something's weird happened. But that's your centers right there. So I do like the list and all. This is actually one of the ones I agree with. I can't really think of anybody else that I would throw in there. Except for the past 30 days, I would say Marcin Gortat should be like 6. He's been a really solid center. Yeah, that's a little bit of homerism in me. But, I love my team. I love my squad. Yeah, I can't hate too much. So that's your centers. Let's move it on to the power forwards. At number 5, you have Paul Millsap. Again, you have another Atlanta Hawk. Those guys are playing amazing. And Paul Millsap is having one of his best years ever. I saw him as a talent when he was playing in Utah, but he's come to Atlanta and really realized that talent. He is using that Popovich system that they run there, and he's just playing it to a T. Doesn't matter where he is on the court. He knows what he's supposed to do, and he does it well. So he deserves to be number 5. One thing I disagree with is Blake Griffin is number 4. I would definitely put him against at least number 3, above at number 3, above who's number 3, because Blake Griffin, this guy is just, if nothing else, he's one of the most entertaining players to watch in the NBA. But that being said, he's also one of the hardest working and, most active players in the NBA. So, that's neither here nor there. But then you have 3 is Paul Gasol. Now, Paul Gasol is having an amazing season. But I think what you should do is you should take Paul, put him over to number 5, and then move everybody up 1. Because, yeah, he is having a great season with the Chicago Bulls. But is he number 3? Not so much. Then you have number 2, LaMarcus Aldridge. This guy's been spectacular. He's a young kid, and he's only getting better year and year. The Portland Trailblazers are really going to be a team to be reckoned with. At least this year they already are. And in the next couple of years, they add another piece here or there, and they're really going to be tough to beat. So look out for them in the future as championship contenders. I wouldn't be too surprised if they were contending this year. Don't really see them as contenders this year, but wouldn't be too surprised if they were. Then you have number 1, Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is having one of the best years of another Kentucky guy. I mean, these Kentucky guys are all over this freaking list right here. And if you say anybody but Anthony Davis is the number 1 power forward, you're just crazy. Because this guy, he's blocking every shot that goes up by him. He's scoring 30 points, putting in 15 rebounds. Okay, that's not his average. But it feels like that's what he does every night. So he's just playing amazing. Amazing. Sneeze. Oh.
Sneeze.
Yep, I did say sneeze while I sneezed. People don't know that. That's what I do. Okay, not really. I just felt like doing it there. All right, so that's your power forwards. Let's keep on moving. Let's talk your small forwards. Number 5, you have Kawhi Leonard. Now, this guy's not so much on the offensive end. Now, don't get me wrong. He can shoot the three. He can score some points. Don't get me wrong about that. He can do what he does. But this guy is one of the best defenders. He can defend power forwards. He can defend shooting guards. Hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if they put him on a point guard here and there. This guy he's 6'7". He's got the wingspan of a 6'11" player, and he's fast. So, yeah, he definitely deserves to be on this list. From San Antonio, if I didn't mention that. Then number 4, you have Gordon Hayward out of the Utah Jazz. It's funny because most people are like, Gordon Hayward, that's the guy who led Butler to the championship. I believe it was 3 or 4 years, 4 or 5 years, a while back when he was playing at Butler. Now, they lost to Duke, but that was when Butler kind of came out of nowhere and was just like, oh, well, okay, they're a squad, sweet. And he's just a solid all-around player. Again, he's versatile, and that's really what you want out of your small forward. You want a guy who can play bigger or play smaller, whatever is needed against whatever team's strength you're going up against. So, and he's also got a really awesome shot, so you can't hate on Gordon Hayward for that. Number 3, you have Carmelo Anthony. Again, he lacks defense, but he plays amazing offense. One of the best pure scorers in the game, so can't fault him for being able to score. I almost think he sometimes plays power forward, so it's almost like not right to put him in the small forward. I mean, his true position is small forward, yeah. So, and then number 2, I have a problem with this. Number 2 and number 1, and I'll just say who both of them are at once, and I bet you. Okay, so which one is number 2 and which one is number 1, Brendan? For small forward, we have Kevin Durant and LeBron James. Which one do I think should be number 2 and number 1?
Now, based on what you said last week, actually, I think you think that Kevin Durant should be number 2. But normally you would think that Kevin Durant would be number 1.
Well, when he's going up against LeBron James, you're right. I didn't think he should be. Well, what did I say last week? I never say anything.
You said that he hadn't played enough this year.
For the All-Star game, not for power rankings. Power rankings are what's going on right now. All-Star game is what's happened over the season. Right now, okay. LeBron James should be number 2, and Kevin Durant should be number 1. Now, I'm not. People will be like, "What are you talking about?" I just like Kevin Durant so much more. I mean, the charisma factor should play in as much as anything, and I think he has way more charisma.
No,
it should. It's a power ranking. It means he's more powerful. He's more charismatic.
No. Charisma is not power. Charisma and power. They're two different things.
Charisma is power.
If they do it in video games, those are two different stats. Charisma stat, your power stat.
His charisma stat is so overwhelming that it raises his power stat.
In like what, NBA Live, whatever. They should put a charisma stat in one of the basketball games. Like helps you get better deals. I don't know.
His charisma is so high, he has been skyrocketed through the stratosphere. He is now the best player in the game because of his charisma. Well, all right. Well, and LeBron James is super talented. You can't argue with that. I'm just gonna go with charisma brings Durant on my list, not Bleacher Reports list, on my list, up to number 1. So that's your small forwards there. Let's keep on moving, and let's talk shooting guards. Now at number 5, they have Atlanta Hawks Kyle Korver, and yes, the Atlanta Hawks do have 3 players on the top 5 lists of 3 of the positions are in the top 5. So that is probably one of the reasons they're playing. They're so good is because they have players just playing out of their mind. Kyle Korver, I think he's on a record-setting pace for 3-point shooting percentage and 3-pointers made. This guy is a crazy sharpshooter. Played in one of the greatest college basketball March Madness tournaments I've ever seen when he played for the Creighton Blue Jays. I think it was Creighton. Then you have number 4, Monte Ellis, playing really, really well, fitting in perfectly there in Dallas. A little bit's going on with Rajon Rondo, so that hasn't quite worked out as well, but they're still on pace to be 3rd or 4th seed in the West, so that's not bad. That means you're number 1 seed in the East if it wasn't for the Hawks. And then you have number 3, Jimmy Butler. This guy's he's upped his scoring game, like by 10 points, I think, this year. His defense has always been good, but he's really just bringing the scoring, and they need it because they needed someone to fill the void that was left by Derrick Rose. And Derrick Rose still is not quite what they were hoping to be. Derrick Rose is not going to reach that MVP level again like they want him to. So it's really good that they have somebody else stepping up there. And then at number 2, you have half of the Splash Brothers, Klay Thompson. Yes, this is the man who scored 37 points in a quarter. So I can't hate on him being there. He's just matured, and especially with his running mate there in Golden State, Steph Curry, this has become the best backcourt in the NBA right now. So look for them to do big things this year. And then number 1, you have a MVP candidate, James Harden for the Houston Rockets. This guy, I believe, is still leading the NBA in scoring. Yeah, and I bet you Oklahoma City's like, damn, we had him too. Think about Oklahoma City with Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. Damn, that would be a good one. You know? So they let him go. Now, I don't blame him because they really didn't want to pay him a max contract like he was going to have to get. So you can't have 3 max contracts unless you're the Heat. I guess you could. But I understand why they didn't. And then let's move on to point guards. So you have Damian Lillard at number 5, the young gun out of Portland. Again, one of the reasons that Portland is going to be so good for the years to come. Him and Aldridge lay a great foundation. You have a speedy guard and a speedy power forward too, but he's a really powerful power forward. So Lillard, definitely agree with him being there. Then you have Russell Westbrook. Yeah, I'll take him for this year. I mean, he did miss a good portion of this year, but he has been spectacular when he has been in there. I think he just dropped 45 the other night. And also, there was this hilarious YouTube video. It was after a game, he was walking to the locker room, and there was fans standing there high-fiving all the Thunder players, and Russell's walking by high-fiving a couple people, and it looked like one guy kind of brought his hand back when Russell tried to high-five him, and Russell turns around and gives him this mean look like,
Should be a new meme.
better high five. And so the guy was like, yeah, high five. You know, I'm sorry, but it was just a funny look. He was like, how dare you not high five me? So I thought that was hilarious. And then this is where I really start having problems with things. They put John Wall at number 3. Okay, it's not that John Wall's at number 3. It's that Chris Paul is above John Wall. And Chris Paul has not had nearly as good of a season as John Wall has this year. I think John Wall has something like 28, 29 double-doubles, leads all point guards, all guards in general, in double-doubles, because he averaged something like 17 points and 11 assists a game. Chris Paul is nowhere near that production. I think Chris Paul has a little bit of a better team in the Clippers, so John Wall doing it with his team is even better. And yeah, I think this is just them giving Chris Paul the name and the recognition of doing it for so well for so many years. I don't agree with that, Chris Paul being above John Wall. Do not agree. Vehemently disagree with that.
Well, maybe what kind of players have they faced? Like maybe it's a matter of the team matchups. They think that.
No, not gonna go for it. Vehemently disagree. Vehemently. But and then at number 1, I can't disagree with this. This is another MVP candidate who's, if he keeps on pace, he's going to win it. Just dropped 51 points the other night, and that's Steph Curry out of Golden State. So this guy's just doing it all this year, and he's playing. You know, every time they need a big shot, boom, he's there with a 3-pointer. Doesn't matter where he's shooting from. He could shoot half his shots from half court, and I still think he'd shoot like 40%. So you know, you can't complain about.
Which wouldn't be a bad strategy because you just run up to the half court, you shoot, you get it back, you get 40% of those.
3-pointers from half court every time. Just do that. But so
hey, if you could do it, that'd be just, if you could get that to like a 60%, that would be a great strategy.
Well, if you could shoot anywhere from at 60%, that's a great strategy.
Especially from half court. I'm saying, like, what are they going to do? They
can't even get all he does. Practice your half court 3-point shots. Practice.
That's what everyone should be doing. What is wrong with? Why has the NBA not progressed to the point where players are shooting everything from half court?
Well, if they start doing that, then they're going to make the courts longer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That was Bleacher Reports' version of the top 5 players at every position. You know my versions of what that should be. Pretty close to Bleacher Reports. A few disagreements here and there. Vehemently disagree with John Wall being number 3. Vehemently. But hit us up. Let us know what you think. Comments down below. Of course, at What's My Face on Twitter. Google Plus and Facebook. Always good ways of getting a hold of us.